A girl child was born in Obugra, ancient kingdom, with a prophecy tied to the heavens and guided by doves sent to the messengers of the divine. Only male heirs could rule. But the future had other plans, as evil wore a kind face and offered shelter at a deadly price. What followed would shake the kingdom to its roots. If only they knew why white doves followed this child. In the kingdom of Obudra, known for its rich culture, uniquely ruled by a monarchy that permitted only male heirs to ascend the throne, the kingdom was prosperous but burdened by the absence of a rightful male heir. As their beloved king, Ogo had only one child, a daughter named Lego, and had no son to inherit the throne, a matter that weighed heavily on his heart. According to the ancient laws, only a male heir could lead the kingdom to prosperity and peace. Lego's mother had revealed to her the secret covenant the king's men had made with the king. As an only child, Lego was destined to give birth to a son who would be the next king. The prophecy grew stronger in her mind, especially after her marriage. She dreamed where a heavenly figure, surrounded by a flock of white doves, had promised her a special child. The doves had become a symbol of hope in her heart, and she often saw them fluttering around her, bringing a sense of calm and serenity. As the month passed, Leko's belly grew round with life, and the whispers of the impending birth filled the air. Her mother-in-law, a wise woman named Neoma, took her under her wing, teaching her the ways of the kingdom and preparing her for the role she would soon play. Neoma spoke of the ancient prophecy and the importance of the white doves that had been following her since her childhood. They were just beasts that were guardians of destiny sent to protect the future king. One moonlight night, Leko went into labor. The village midwives rushed to her side, and in the quiet of the night, she gave birth to a baby boy. As the first cries of the newborn pierced the silence, the white doves that had been perched on the roof of the delivery hut took flight, their wings beating in unison as if to announce the arrival of something extraordinary. The villagers who had gathered outside watched in awe as the doves cycled the hut, their feathers glowing with an exterior light. Words of the miraculous child spread like wildfire through Obobra, reaching the ears of Madame Eno, the wealthiest and most feared landlady, the wife of the king's younger brother in the kingdom, known for her sharp tongue and even sharper business acumen. She had amassed a fortune from her numerous properties, yet behind her facade of kindness and generosity, Madame Eno harbored a dark secret. The arrival of the new prince brought a sense of excitement and anticipation to the village. Madame Eno, even the opportunist, saw a chance to increase her influence and perhaps even bend the fate of the kingdom to her will. She approached Lego and her husband with an offer they couldn't refuse, a grown house to their growing family at a price so low it was almost suspicious. Desperate to provide the base for the son and unaware of the landlady's true intentions, Lego accepted the offer. The house was indeed grand and mighty, but as the days turned into weeks, Lego's life takes a dark turn. As her market stalls quiet, husband crops withered, and customers avoid her, despite the child's dove's companions. One evening, as Leko cradled her son, she overheard a whispered conversation between her neighbors. They spoke of Madame Eno and her uncommon ability to bring ruin to those who cross her path. Her curiosity piqued, Leko decided to visit the local seer, a wise old woman named Mama Grace, whose eyes had seen the truth of many. As she approached Mama Crane's hut, the white doves fluttered around her as if guiding her to the answers she sought. Mama Crane's hut was dimly lit, filled with the scents of burning incense and the faint aroma of herbs. The old woman looked at Lego with knowing eyes, and without a word she began to weave a tapestry of the future. She spoke of the doves as messengers of the divine sent to protect the child of destiny, but she also revealed the shadow that loom over their lives and life of the future king as Madame Eno. Lego, driven by Madame Crane's revelations, seek the village council's help to protect her family from Madame Eno. The council, recognizing the gravity of the situation, starts to convert investigation into the landlady's practices. While Madame Eno grows envious and suspicious of Lego's resilience, the dogs that surrounded the child were a constant reminder of the prophecy that threatened her own claims to power. Envy burned in her heart like a wildfire, and she knew she had to act fast. The following day, Madame Eno visited the local market, her eyes scanning, and she noticed that her businesses had been failing for months despite her best efforts. Madame Eno approached a cabman, offering a deal that seemed too good to be true. Financial relief in exchange for a simple favor. A cabman, knowing the extent of the landlady's malice, agreed to plant an object in Leco's house that would cause her to forget the prophecy and the white doves. The object was a small, intricately carved calabash smeared with a foul-smelling paste that made Leco's stomach to turn when she found it hidden under her bed. Unknown to her, the paste contained potent herbs that clouded the mind and erased memories. As the days passed, Lagos began to forget and comforting whispers of the doves and the promises of a son who would bring peace to Abubra. Her husband, noticing the change in her behavior, grew worried and turned to the village council for guidance. The council, not now aware of Madame Eno's plot, knew they had to act swiftly. They called upon the villagers, most skilled not root medics, Chief Ekpenyom, to concoct a potion to counteract the memory-stealing herbs. With the help of Mama Cress, they crafted a powerful brew that will not only restore Leko's memories, but also reveal the truth to anyone who drank it. The root medics warned them of the risks involved. The potion was volatile and could bring harm if not used correctly. One of the council members, a cunning old man named Ekpenyom, suggested a plan. They will invite Madame Eno to a feast in honor of the prince's first birthday, a celebration that will be held in the very house where she had planted the cursed calabash. During the festivals, they will serve her the potion disguised as a special concoction, forcing her to confront the truth of her actions. The preparations for the feast were underway, and the village bustled with excitement. Leko, though still haunted by the shadows of the forgetfulness, felt a growing sense of unease. The white dove still lingering around her son, a silent protest against the darkness that threatened to consume their family. As the day approached, her husband grew more protective, whispering words of strength and encouragement into her ears. The great hall of the castle was adorned with colorful fabrics and flickering candles. The aroma of roasting meat and stews filled the air. Mingling with the sweet scent of palm wine, Mama Eno, dressed in her finest attire, arrived with a smug smile that did not reach her eyes. She surveyed the room, her gaze lingering on the faces of her fellow villagers as if daring them to challenge her. They both dressed modestly, yet with an air of reality. held her son tightly to her chest, her heart racing with a mix of fear and determination. The feast began with laughter and music, the sound of drums beating in rhyme with the pounding of Leko's heart. As the night grew late, the council member approached Madame Enon, offering her a cup of the potion with a warm smile. She took it without hesitation, her eyes never leaving Leko's. As the potion touched her lips, the room grew quiet, the music fading to a distant murmur. She took a sip, her expression unchanged, but the white doves grew agitated, their eyes flashing with an orderly world. Suddenly, Madibino's smile fluttered. She choked, her hand flying to her throat as if to keep the truth from escaping. Her eyes grew white with horror as the memories of the dark deeds flooded back. The room watched in still silence as she staggered back, the cup slipping from her trembling hand to shatter on the floor. The potion effects were swift and unyielding. She fell to her knees, the weight of her own wickedness crushing on her. The white dove, sensing the shift in energy, descended upon her, their wings beating fiercely as if to purge the air of her benevolence. Madame Enos screams pierced the night, echoing through the Hodge village. The villagers who had gathered outside to listen to the festival rushed into the hall, their eyes wide with shock and anger. The truth of her treachery had laid bare. Madame Eno could no longer hide behind her facade of kindness. Lego, her memory restored, stepped forward, her voice clear and strong. The dogs that have followed me since childhood are not mere omens, she declared. They are the guardians of our future king, sent to ensure that he brings peace and prosperity to Obogra. The villagers murmured among themselves, the whispers of doubt turning to caps of understanding. Madame Eno, trembling with fear and rage, finally broke her silence. You dare to challenge me, she spat at Lego. You and your insignificant son will never sit on that throne. My husband, the true heir, was robbed of his rightful place, and I will not stand by and watch it happen again. The room fell silent as her true colors were revealed. She was none other than the widow of the king's younger brother, who had coveted the throne for herself. The cunning woman had hoped to manipulate the situation to her advantage, placing her own son on the throne instead of the child born under the divine prophecy. The villagers gasped in shock as they realized the extent of Madame Eno's treachery. Her jealousy had driven her to cause her own traits and her own tenants and attempt to usurp the rightful heir. The council members exchanged solemn looks, understanding the gravity of the situation. They had allowed greed and envy to fester in their midst, and now it threatened the very fate of their kingdom. Madame Eno, her eyes wide with fury, looked at Leko and the child, but the white doves formed a protective barrier around them, their wings flapping fiercely to keep her at bay. The council members stepped in, restraining her with a firmness that belied their age. The room was tense, the air thick with the stench of the potion and the reek of her benevolent intentions. Madame Eno, Lego said, her voice steady despite the fear that gripped her. You are the widow of my uncle, the king's late brother. Your resentment has blinded you to the will of the gods and the fate of our people. The covenant was made with my father, and it is my son who is destined to fulfill it. Madame Eno's eyes flashed with anger, her face contorted in a snarl. Your son? A mere child born of a girl? My own son will make a better king than this babe, she spat. The room grew colder. As reflection sank in, Madam Eno was not just a greedy landlady, she was the widow of the late king's younger brother, a woman whose bitterness had been festering for years. The cobwebs of deceit that had once veiled her true intentions were now shattered, leaving nothing but the harsh truth. Her jealousy had driven her to the brink of madness, while willing to sacrifice the happiness of others to satisfy her own ambition. The council members, now aware of the true identity, exchanged glances of disbelief. Madam Eno, one of them said, his voice is heavy with authority. You have been living among us, hiding behind the cries of a benevolent landowner. Yet as long as you have been orchestrating the downfall of those who sought shelter in your homes, why? Her eyes narrowed and she spat out her answer. Because it is my son who should have been born to rule. My son, who is the rightful heir, not this peasant child. Her voice was filled with bitterness and anger, but the white doves had heard enough. They swarmed around Madam Eno, their wings beating in unison, creating a tornado of feathers and light. The room was filled with an orderly worldly glow, and the air grew thick with the scent of incense and the power of the divine. Madam shrieked in terror as the doves lifted her off the ground, her eyes buckling as she realized the extent of her power she had defied. The villagers watched in amazement as the dove carried her out of the hall and into the night sky. Her screams grew distant until they were swallowed by the silence of the stars. When the doves returned, they settled around the child, their eyes gleaming with a fierce protectiveness. It was clear that their allegiance lay with the true heir to the throne, the one chosen by the gods. This is the end of part 1. Stay tuned for part 2 and thank you for watching our videos. Until then, please do it to subscribe to our channels. Thank you.
Please subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Like, comment, and share our content with your groups and on your timelines. Thank you.